detail the information that was, that went into that rate increase. About midway through the slide, you can see the required annual rate increase. That's what the spreadsheet generates as the rate increase that would be necessary to fund the expenditures based on the revenue projection in the model. What the city actually implemented is a 14.5% increase in 2010. And based on that, the cumulative rate increase through 2014 would be about 141%.
Does that, Heather and Trevor, does that accumulative rate through 2014, does that get us through the expenditures that are anticipated through 2020?
It starts to build reserves. There's some significant capital investments beyond 2014, but allows us to be able to build the reserves to at least partially pay cash for those projects, and then potentially utilize a public works trust fund or USDA or some other loan/grant. Because at this point, the 406, the capital, and maybe RJ can speak to that, but there's limited reserves at this point for capital expenses, capital projects.
So if we take the same model and modify the CIP based on the facility plan recommendations, you can see that reduces the cumulative rate increase to 100%. So still important to build those reserves like Trevor was saying, but it does somewhat lessen the need for reduces the rate increase required. I think we talked about this. So so it does. The facility plan does push that CIP out past the 2014 window, but you still need expenditures or you need to build revenue to offset those big hits that are going to come in 2015, 2016, 2017. So just to summarize, major improvements are required for capacity, redundancy, and sustainability. The city's done a great job operating the facilities they have and meeting permit, but time is coming soon where those facilities will need to be expanded. And this is the time to do budgeting and planning for those improvements based on ecology's requirements, and prudent planning and proactive rate measures can mitigate the long-term impacts on ratepayers. So the point where we're at now is the facility plan has been reviewed by ecology in the preliminary draft form. We've had discussions. We're preparing to submit a final draft to ecology and updating the city on where things are at. Once the city and ecology all concur on the capital improvements plan, then the city will be in a position to move forward with the improvements.
I have a question. Does this include infrastructure that's currently in the ground for upgrades to that?
As far as the
Like
collection
pipe?
system?
Yeah, the collection system.
Yeah, FCS does have the, it's not depreciation, it's return, what was the term?
System reinvestment.
System reinvestment. So there has been some cast in place as far as some slip lining and rehabilitation. As far as the collection system, we've actually done some lift station upgrades as well, sewage lift station upgrades. So it does take that into consideration.
And do we have the same problem as far as with aging pipe networks with sewer that we do with, say, water?
We do, but probably not to that scale.
Uh-huh.
In comparison, it depends on the groundwater, the composition, as far as infiltration and inflow, how much rainwater you actually get to your wastewater treatment plant facility, but our system's actually fairly tight when we do get large rain events, but we do have some spots within town where we've TV'd and identified spots that are failing or potential to failure for slip lining and rehab, so there is some.
Could you go back to your inflation and rate assumptions? Interest earnings on cash. Okay, thank you.
That one used to be worked from.
I'm sorry?
down,
I
right?
said that one needs to get reworked as well.
Actually, I think 1% in 2010 and 11 is very conservative, and 3% thereafter is also conservative.
Is all of this going to provide us some incremental increase in compliance that's being dictated by the state?
Well, it will provide you, well, it does two things. Yes, it provides the capacity that you need in order to have adequate treatment according to the state's requirements. Because the permit that you have with the state for discharge to the Columbia has a rated capacity in terms of flow, VOD, and TSS that can be treated at the plant. So the improvements will provide additional rated capacity to meet the flow that's actually coming into the facility. So it will do that, and it will also provide the redundancy to test the system and determine whether it actually has more capacity than what the state has currently allowed in its permit, or has currently established in its permit.
But will this expenditure result in an increase in the quality of water that we're discharging out into the river?
It will result, well, the plant currently is producing excellent quality effluent, so it won't necessarily increase the quality of the effluent, but it will increase the reliability with which you can provide that quality effluent.
Do you have a feel for why the state's requiring that?
Well, the state, I mean, this is probably the biggest driver behind, what the state's looking at. They see, the monitoring reports that are prepared every month, that they see what's coming into the plant, they see, what level of treatment the plant is producing, and they know that the flow and the solids that are coming into the plant are approaching what they understand is the rated capacity of the facility. So that's the big driver for them for these improvements, and that's why the oxidation ditch and the associated secondary treatment improvements are the first big phase, or the first big expansion in the CIP, is to address the fundamental need to not have the trend continue up over, exceed that line of rated capacity.
Would you explain mostly for the audience, what the implications of reaching capacity are? Suppose we were at our capacity. What does that mean practically?
Because you have to hold it.
It means you can't build anything. You can't issue building permits. You can't issue new connections.
Yeah, that's, at the worst end of the spectrum, that's ultimately what would happen, is that you can't connect any new users to the sewer if you can't demonstrate that you have adequate capacity to.
Didn't Battleground go through some of that? There was a moratorium, and that was based on sewer, basically. You had a slide